This is a quick video to show you guys how to add databases in Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. I'm using version 2014, and then add tables to those databases. After that, I'll show you how to connect to those tables via Visual Studio 2015. So first, what we're going to do is right now I'm just connected locally to my laptop as my server. I'm going to go down here in my Object Explorer menu, and I'm going to select Databases. Right-click on my database, and first you'll notice I have a bunch of system databases that are already here that were brought in when I installed Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio 2014. So what I want to do is I want to create my own database right now. So I'm going to right-click on Databases, go to New Database, and I want to create a database called Registrations. And you'll see here I've got my regular file for my database, and then I've got a log file for my database. And this log file is important because it creates a backup of vital information should I ever need to restore this other file. So you don't want to get rid of the log file. This auto growth and max size right here, this says I just want it to grow by this much should it ever outgrow my initial size, which I have 4 and 1 right here. So we'll just click OK, and it will create that database for us over here. Open up that database, and you'll see we've got database diagrams, we have tables. Right now we have system tables, file tables. Well, let's just right-click on tables and create a new table. Within this table, we want to have a couple of things. We want to have a primary key, and we want to have some information that match our code, which we have right here. So what we'll do first is type in student ID. And we want it to be an integer, and we don't want to allow nulls. This is going to be our primary key. Right-click on this and just click Set Primary Key, and we've got that set to primary key. Now we're going to go to our next line, type in first name. It immediately sets to inchar. Now inchar, we want to switch it to invarchar or char, however you want to pronounce it. The difference between those two primarily is that var means variable length, and so you would use invarchar or char when you have input that might vary. So not everyone's first name is going to be the same length, so we will go ahead and use this one. And inchar then, or inchar, would be used for input that would be a fixed size. We don't want to allow nulls for the first name. We want to say those are important, and we need to make sure that those are input into the database. And so we won't allow nulls for the last name. Then, if we want to decrease the size of this, any of this, let's say we don't want first name to have 50 characters. We'll just go down here, and we'll change that and say 25 characters is plenty. And notice that it then changes up here. So that allows us to then make sure that we are maximizing the storage of our database and not storing memory when we're not going to fill that memory space. All right, once we're finished with that, just go to File, Save Table. We're going to save it as Students with an S. Click OK. And now that's saved. And we have down here in our tables, let's refresh it, dbo.students. How do we connect to that? Well, easy enough. Go to Tools, and we are now in Microsoft Visual Studio. Connect to Server. Oh, I hit the wrong one. So how do we connect to our database? Well, easy enough. In Microsoft Visual Studio, go to Tools, Connect to a Database. It's going to have your data source in there already, and then we'll select a server name. Now it's just going to come up as my laptop name because that's all I have set up. And then I want to select a database name. Well, our database was called Registration. Now I'll click OK. Before I clicked OK, just as a side note, it's always a good idea to click the test connection, which I should have done first to make sure that the connection was valid and ready to go, and then clicked OK. And that should be all set up and ready to go. Now the next thing we need to do is just to view it in our Server Explorer. So right here we have faithlaptop.pc, faithlaptop-pc.registrations.dbo is indeed ready to go, and within that I have my tables, I have my views, if I have any views created. Here I can put my stored procedures, and all of that goody good information is all stored in there. And that is it for how to create a table and connect it to Microsoft Visual Studio.